1945. The boys are back home, but the fight for a new America is just beginning.
Good stuff. That is from Bandstand. Andy Blankenbeuhler is a Tony Award winner. That was from, what was the thing you did?
Little show called Hamilton.
Little show called Hamilton, but that was from Bandstand. You are the director and the choreographer of this new musical. You were, in fact, you won a Tony for choreography for Hamilton, and you are on fire.
Things are good. I'm a really lucky guy, and a really exciting time in the theater, I think.
When did you know that this would be your love?
I grew up dancing. I started dancing when I was 3. I had 2 older sisters who both went to dance class, and so my parents brought me to dance class too, and I stayed with it. I sort
Where
of
was
had
this?
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Right.
I kind of had a mathematic brain for picking up rhythms and counts, and I stayed with it. And then in high school, I started doing musicals at my school, and that's actually where I met the team that's made Bandstand. We all met in high school.
Is that true?
Sophomore year, we went to a theater camp in Cincinnati at the University of Cincinnati. That's where I met Richard. And so David Kreppel, who does vocal arrangements, and Richard and I all met way back in the 80s, and all these years later have come back to make this Broadway musical.
Describe the musical.
1945, a bunch of vets have come home from World War II, sort of landing in a country that they don't feel they're understood. They don't know how to articulate the drama that they've been through or the dysfunction that they're now feeling. And they all share a common love for swing music. So they use their music as a device, as a tool to start the road back to healing. It centers around one guy, Donnie Nowitzki, and a war widow, Julia, who is the widow of a good buddy of his from the war. And together they all use their music, and they compete in a big nationwide contest that's to choose a song to welcome home the troops. And it doesn't go sort of all as we think it might go.
You love period pieces.
I love style. I love the authenticity of different styles, different periods.
Because?
I just love detail. I love the honesty that's in people's choices. I love the honesty that you make choices to deal with things that are happening in your life. I mean, it might be even as simple as what clothes does a New Yorker wear on a rainy day, and how does it make that person move differently or act differently than somebody who's in sunny Kansas on the same day. People make choices because of their environment, because of social situations, in different ways, and I think that leads to really detailed and honest choices.
For those of us who don't understand theater but just appreciate it when we go, describe the difference between directing, being the choreographer, and being the director and the choreographer, because you are both.
Yeah, and both in this. I work a lot as just a choreographer. My first passion and my greatest passion is in movement. And now that I'm directing more, I'm directing pieces that still have a lot to do with directing. So what happens as a choreographer is I'm part of a team, and the team decides, oh, let's tell this part of the story through a song. Let's break this part of the story into a dance. And then I take that roadmap and I stage it. And depending on the show, it turns into different kind of choreography. A big number from Hamilton will feel different than a big number from, for example, like 9 to 5 that I did on Broadway, which takes place in an office building. So my job as a choreographer is to figure out what steps feel organic to those people in that situation. So my primary thing is to translate music into story, physical story. As director, there's a lot more jobs. There's a lot more people to handle. There's a lot of communication with the scenic designer, the lighting designer, the writing team. And so it's about sort of being Switzerland in between all these different parties and learning how to speak to all of them and helping to support and inspire each one of them to do their best job. As director and choreographer, it's a little tough because my first job must be to direct the show, to cultivate the characters, the storyline, the emotion. And once that's in a good enough place, Andy, the choreographer, sort of takes over and turns it into movement.
Describe the experience of being a key player in connection with this extraordinary hit, Hamilton.
I mean, Hamilton is a dream come true on many levels for me. I was lucky enough to meet that entire team. We made a show on Broadway called In the Heights, which changed all of our lives back then.
That's right.
That was about 10 years ago. And we became great friends and great collaborators in the arts. And so when Hamilton came around, which was clearly a passion piece for Lin-Manuel, and he was attached to it and was a vessel for something that we didn't understand how he was channeling what he was channeling. The work coming out of him was just so inspired. He and the director, Tommy, just did brilliant work together. And so it came to me in a state that was almost finished in a way. Like I remember I would see readings of Hamilton and I didn't think I was going to have a job. I thought, oh, they're not going to have me choreograph the show because the words themselves are so powerful, you don't need to do anything on top of it. And so when I did start working on it, Tommy, the director, and I would say, just have to stay out of the way of the words. And we have to not do anything that can distract, because there's like 24,000 words in the show. And so everything about the show always felt magical. And people, it's a lot of material, and so people think, oh my God, it must have been so hard to do. In a way, it was like the easiest thing I ever did, because the material was just so inspirational.
But you also started working on Bandstand while you were connected to Hamilton.
I actually started Bandstand before Hamilton, because Hamilton existed, but I hadn't started working on it yet. The director starts a lot earlier than the choreographer does. So I did the early stages of Bandstand, which is like readings, finding actors, cultivating the music with the writing team. And then all of that sort of got put on hold for about 1.5 years while I was working on Hamilton.
So how long, I know each play is different, how long does it take, or did it take, to get Bandstand to the stage?
Bandstand's actually, for the life of a new musical, happened very fast. I started working on the show not even 4 years ago. And so it went from first draft to Broadway opening in less than 4 years.
Right.
I think Hamilton took like 8 years. So a lot of shows take longer. Sometimes it's because of the scale. Sometimes it's because, frankly, it's hard to raise money for some shows.
Oh yeah, money, that's right. We wouldn't know that at PBS. So today, we are taping on, it's the 25th? Yeah. You were opening when?
Tomorrow, big day tomorrow.
What are you doing here?
Well, when the show finally freezes and they say, Andy, you got to walk away, I have this crisis of not having anything to contribute. So I actually love being here because it helps me feel connected to the show, even though I'm not in rehearsal anymore.
What's going to be like tomorrow night? What's going to be like?
It's going to be amazing. I mean, I'm so excited for the writing team. It's their first show on Broadway. I'm excited for this young cast that's tremendous. They play live jazz on stage. I mean, they're amazing. Yeah. And I'm really excited to bring my family. I have 2 kids, and we'll all be on the red carpet together.
Well, the public television family wishes you the best. We don't want you to actually break a leg, but we're going to wish you breaking a leg metaphorically. And I want to remind folks that Bandstand is at the Bernard Jacobs Theater, 242 West 45th Street, right here in the heart of Manhattan. Andy, all the best.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Keep doing good things.
Thank you.
Stay with us. Right back right after this.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by RWJ Barnabas Health, Delta Dental of New Jersey, Wells Fargo, New Jersey Council of County Colleges, PSE&G, JAG Physical Therapy, and by New Jersey Sharing Network. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.